Have you ever set a budget and then failed at it? Do you have debt that haunts you? What about that dream vacation? Does it feel always out of reach? Well, if so, today's episode is for you.
I have some questions for you. Hey, brave girl, how you do the things that you do?
Welcome to the Brave Talk Show, where we connect with brave women like yourself to laugh, to cry, and to roar about the topics near and dear to our heart. In today's episode, we dive deep into productivity and budgeting with our special guest, budgeting and productivity guru, Jordan Page. It's a powerful episode, so if you like it as much as we think you will, smash that subscribe button so you can connect with us on future episodes as well. Today, we are ready to dive deep into productivity and budgeting with Jordan Page. But first, we're going to do our favorite segment. We're going to do Truth or Dare today.
Oh my gosh.
And
Season
I
2, get ready.
have the questions. Yes, that's what's so fun about Season 2. We've changed up a couple things. So we used to do hot topics every episode, where now each one of us is in charge of an episode, and we're going to choose the segment. We're spice it up, have a little bit of fun. I chose Truth or Dare today, so I have a question for all of the ladies.
Or a dare.
And I'm going to put them on the spot, so I'm going to ask them a question, ask Truth or Dare. They're going to pick, and then I'm going to ask the question, or I'm going to show them the dare.
Okay.
I will show them the dare. I'm going to describe the dare.
Okay.
She said, I'll just describe
I'm not doing the dare.
Yeah. I want Robin to go first because I'm afraid.
Shoot! All right. Ask me.
Okay, Truth or Dare?
Dare.
You got to learn a TikTok dance.
Totally
That's
at my
easy for
wheelhouse.
you. Yeah, I was going to say, that's easy for you.
All right, what TikTok?
Yeah, what is
do you
it?
have to do?
Okay, so
have to do it right now?
Yeah, you gotta
Oh.
get up.
you got to do it.
Right?
I saved it on
Just
my
stand
phone.
right here. It's okay. You don't have to go far.
Yeah, you got your mic on you, right?
Ooh, I wonder if we can put the TikTok dance on the.
Okay, here it is. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, this is easy. Walk the talk with it. All my ladies, now get frustrated.
I practiced last night, don't worry.
Okay.
This is go. 1, 2.
Okay, ready?
3. Walk, drop. All my ladies, now get frustrated. That was awesome.
was
Good
good.
job. That was really good.
Not going to pick dare at all.
I know.
Picking Truth.
Let's keep with the truth.
Full shake of my
I
booty
love
than-
it though.
have
That
to
was
spill your
that was
guts.
great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Whatever you
guys.
spill your
Yeah,
guts
that's
to.
true. I like to spill my guts, but
You're
I already,
the whole
actually already
package.
know what the question is, and I ain't gonna say it. Just kidding.
Okay, V.
I'm gonna go with the truth. I'm
Yeah,
trying to drop
yeah.
it right now.
Yeah.
I can't beat Robin. Robin just took the lead.
After, yeah, how do you follow Robin?
I know.
Okay, truth is, what is one time that you lied to get out of trouble?
Oh gosh. Oh,
Hot
let's
seat.
see.
Get
Ooh,
hot
that is
over
definitely
there.
it is good. That's a hot question. To get out of doing something,
Or
out of
get out of
trouble.
trouble.
to get out of trouble. I don't know. I think it's more like getting out to do something. I was like, so.
Yeah, we're
oh
ready.
my gosh.
We're
So,
in
you know, I
here.
just had a baby, you know, and I was like, your host is like, when's the 6 weeks? I pushed my appointment because I was just, oh my gosh, I'm confessing. This is confession. Because I was just like, I'm not ready, you know? I just had to get myself together first. And
So
then,
did you smudge the dates a little bit?
no,
You're
I
like,
just like, doctor, I'm supposed to schedule my 6 weeks, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to push it.
You
So I
already
didn't.
had your 6 week,
I didn't had it though. I just pushed it, and then he's like, "I'm like the there's no appointments available right now."
Okay, wait. On that topic, so her lie is that she's fudged her 6 weeks so she didn't have to have sex. You guys, Vanessa had a baby since last time you saw her. Like, we never announced that.
I did. I had a baby.
Oh my
11 weeks
gosh.
Tell
ago.
them what your baby's name is.
Craigie Maurice Ephraim, which is Yahoshi's first name, my dad in Haiti, my birth dad, and then Yahoshi's uncle that passed away
I
that he
love
loved.
it.
So
I love it. Okay, but
and
before
he's
we move
adorable.
on,
yeah, thank you.
do you guys wait 6 weeks to have intercourse after having a baby?
I don't remember.
I've never waited more than like 2
I
or
know.
3 weeks.
Oh, you do it?
I do it at like 2 or 3 weeks.
Isn't that
But
scary?
you have like natural, like it's not like you had episiotomies, right?
Oh, I've had a episiotomy.
So you have sex even with an episiotomy? Oh my gosh. All right.
Maybe that's why my
She
bowels
can't
are
be
falling out.
stopped.
All right, I'm gonna pick truth.
Okay, same
gonna be with
question.
this lie.
When's a time that you lied to get
Okay.
into trouble?
So I first want to let you guys
You
know.
like no,
Well,
automatically.
I was thinking like she's talking. I'm like I better think. I gotta think. 'Cause I am a horrible liar. So I don't lie very often because like I'm not good at it, guys. I'm not good at it, and I have a pure spirit. It really hurts my heart to lie. But this was survival, okay? This was survival. I had to, okay? So my husband, as some of you guys might know, has stage 4 cancer, and like once you're in this community, like there is super hardcore philosophical views from different doctors on like how things should be done, right? So his traditional oncologist, who is like all she knows is chemo, all she knows is radiation, like and nothing else. Like she doesn't know about diet, she doesn't know about metabolic, she doesn't know about anything else that can help like make a difference with cancer because that's what her focus is in on. She wanted him to take folic acid because of the chemo that he was going to take, because it's I don't know, it does something to your folate. I don't know. And anyway, I'm like, he can't take folic acid because my husband has a MUF4 mutation. And again, this is super geeky stuff. I'm a health geek. I looked into his genetics and all that stuff, and I know that he has this mutation, which makes it so that he can't break down folic acid. It actually turns toxic in his body. No, not good. So I said to her, not thinking she'd freak out, he can't do folic acid, but I will give him methylfolate, which is the natural form of folic acid, okay? It's like not a big deal. It's just the better form. She was like, you can't, you're not gonna take folic acid. We're gonna stop everything. He's not gonna get the chemo. He's not, and I'm like, what? And so I said, okay, how about you do your research and I'll do mine and then we'll talk about it. So she didn't do her research because she doesn't care about that. So I just got on the next call and was like, yep, it's taking the folic acid. And I put him on folate, and guess what? He did just fine. Because it's the same
Heck
thing.
yeah.
She doesn't know. She just knows the studied folic acid, and I have done the research on folate. I know.
You lied.
I did. I lied to a medical doctor.
But I'm
So,
freaking proud of you.
Do you
for
feel
taking
bad
your own
about it?
help.
I don't feel bad. No.
Yeah, good.
I have no. That was one lie that I'm like, you know what? My husband needed the chemo. He's not doing chemo now, but at that time that was part of our decision. And I wasn't going to let this woman not understanding folate versus folic acid like stop him from getting his chemo.
Yeah.
And so
easier
the
to-
folate worked. It worked just fine with the chemo. So anyway, yes, that's my lie, and that's probably the last lie I told because I'm such a horrible liar. Thankfully,
are
it wasn't
good.
face to
That's-
face. You know, that's she couldn't see my face.
She's like, hi.
It was on the phone.
Shaking. All right, that's great. That was our first Truth or Dare segment.
All right.
Let's jump into the heart of our episode today, and that is with Jordan Page. We're talking about budgeting and productivity. Jordan is one of my friends, and she is the guru when it comes to budgeting and productivity. She's even got a planner. This is like my fourth one, and I've got 2 more in my drawer just to make sure I will never run out of this. I don't know another person who does more in a day than Jordan, for real. So she's here to teach us all the tips, all the tricks of how to budget and how to be productive. Jordan,
Stop.
will you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then teach us all your tricks.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh, you tricks.
Introduce myself. Well, I have 8 kids. So the fact that I'm here is like so great. First of all, I'm just so happy to be here. It's like a vacation with my girlfriends. I am not a finance expert. I'm not a personal.
You haven't gone to school.
I have not. I really haven't. Like, I am not good at math. I don't love budgeting. I have ADHD. I am a hot mess. But we have to adult at some time, right? And as newlyweds, we were frugal. Frugal's always been easy for me, but then budgeting, we were just really drowning in debt and self-employed for the first time in things that I never learned in school. I learned about like Greek mythology for 3 years, but I never learned how to write a freaking check, right? And so then I become an adult and I'm like, what is happening? And so I went online to try to figure out how to budget and how, I'm like, surely I can't just say no to everything for the rest of my life in order to be good at budgeting, right? Like Target's got to play in here at some point, right? But I went online and it was just like these old white dudes and like this lady who's never been married and these super rich people giving all this finance advice. And I felt like no one spoke my language. And plus they were using big words like what the crap is a Roth IRA? And I'm never going to pay cash for a house, so like I'm not even interested.
No, Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I love it, but no. So then I was like, this is stupid. And then there were extreme couponers, and I don't believe in that either. So I was like, where's the middle ground here? There's got to be something better. So I just kind of made it up on my own. And
How long ago is this?
this was when we were newlyweds. So we've been married like 15 years almost. So this was, between 13 and 10 years ago really was kind of this dynamic change. And so I really just kind of made it up myself, and it was really like kind of goofy, and there are analogies involved and like pictures, and it worked so fast. And so we got out of in 13 months, we got out of $15,000 of debt, but we were only making $30,000 at the time. Wow. So, but like I wasn't starved, and I wasn't miserable, and I wasn't, and so I kind of started feeling like, whoa, you guys, this is like way less complicated than everyone makes it sound.
Yeah.
So I had this little family blog. Do you remember like the blog?
I remember that.
Days?
I had one.
Oh
You had one?
yeah. And so I started just posting little things that we were doing on there, and then it got weird because my husband was self-employed, and I'm like, Priya's birth story, and then also tips for budgeting. I'm like, it was a little weird. So we made
know
our
how to
family
niche down
blog.
at that point.
Yeah. So I made our family blog just private for me, and then I just started this blog, and I didn't know what to call it, so I called it Fun, Cheap, or Free. And I just started like just kind of word vomiting things we were doing, and I had no intention of it becoming what it's become. It just kind of happened, and it just kind of took off because I think for the first time it was like a non-expert talking about things that I was trying to figure out.
You were so
along
relatable.
with people.
Yeah.
And I really hate budgeting. Like even still, it's so boring. But there are ways that you can do it so that it's not miserable. And it's not about budgeting, it's about the life you want to live. And I feel like no one was focusing on that. And so it just kind of took off. And so budgeting was really kind of what started my journey. I've been on the Today Show, Good Morning America, TLC, Inside Edition, Rachel Ray, Fab Life. Like, I've done this for a long time. And then along the way, I just kept having kids and kept,
Budgeting
growing.
has to move along with that.
Certainly does. And then I started growing businesses and growing just my audience. And so as a result, people started getting more curious about how I do it all. And I used to just like kind of resent that question because I'm like, oh, you should see my closet. I am surely a hot mess. But then after a while, I started listening, and I'm like, there's something to the question of like, how do you do it? How do you do it? And so I'm like, I'm gonna try to answer that. It's not perfect and it's not pretty, but I am doing what I'm doing, so let's analyze that. So then I made productivity courses and planners and things. I'm like, I don't know, you guys, I am no expert, but this is how I've been doing what I'm doing. And that really took off because again, it's like someone who really struggles with being tidy and someone who really struggles with, I'm not a minimalist. I love having a full schedule, but I also have 1,000 kids. So how do you manage all that? Yeah. So it's all kind of been a little bit on accident, but here I am, and here we are on vacation together.
Yeah.
So I'm really passionate about just building stronger families. That's really what it comes down to for me. I think there's a lot of conversations, like what you guys do. There are conversations that people don't have that are important to have, and I'm okay to have those online and help where I can.
What I think is so powerful about what you're doing is that you really speak, I think, to the mom, whether she works or doesn't work. Let's be honest with gender roles and things like that. Like we still are the managers of our home. Like and so there's just so much to do. And a lot of these planners that are out there are really focused to like the career, or just the focusing on the home. And you really expanded to being able to do it all because we are doing so many. And then all of the entrepreneurial aspects that I think a lot of moms are doing as well, even if they are at home, just be able to blend it all. And I just think it's so powerful. I love this planner. I was just looking at it this morning and I'm like, okay.
Gosh, I should have brought a box, girls. I'll hook you up. I got that.
That's the best. Like I got my tabs and everything.
Oh, I love it.
I guess my question, Jack, because I think it's amazing, because I got 2 of your planners, and then I got my sister-in-law one, and she like called me up. She's like, for Christmas, she's like, what is this?
It's
This
so
is amazing.
different. It's so
Because
weird.
she's more like, I'm not organized. So I'm like, okay, I need something to organize my life. So I love it. But I guess the question is, for budgeting, what are the main things you would say like to the newlyweds, the couples that are starting? Like what are the
I love this question.
basic thing you would tell them to
Oh
work
gosh.
on?
So many things. Where do I start? The first thing I would say is to remember that there is no right way. I think, money and finances are one of the main causes of divorce for a reason because it freaking sucks, right?
Yes.
And you get these two independent, creative, amazing people that just so happen to love each other and want to get married. And then suddenly there has to be this like right way of doing something. I don't believe in that. I think person A has all their skills and talents and their way of doing things, and person B does as well. So like, let's just make that
together.
work.
Yes.
So I believe that your marriage should run a little more like a business than how you think a marriage should run. So think of a business like you guys, right? All these different personalities. There is no right or wrong way. It's just how do we make this work best? So what you do is it's like you sit down and you say, oh, I'm really good at doing things on the computer. I'm more interested in apps and technology and this and that, which would be my husband. So he manages bank accounts. He manages, he likes investing. I think it's weird and I don't like it. And for me, I am traditionally the lead parent. So I'm in my car a lot. I like paper. I like pretty paper. I drive my kids places. I'm the one that cares how their haircuts look. So I manage those things. So in a business, you don't have two presidents and two vice presidents and two CMOs doing the exact same thing. Find your skills, take those, and then have your conference meeting once a week like you do in a company where you say, okay, what are the goals of the team here? What are the goals of the company? And then set those together and then say, okay, ready, break. And then you get together and you report on those. And so divide and conquer, honestly. In Bubba's family, my husband's name is Bubba. It's like actually his name. It's not this weird pet name thing. People are always gonna some kinky name for your husband? No. But in his family, his mom handles all the finances. In my family, my dad does. So we got married and the mail would just sit on the counter. And then after a while, we get that little yellow envelope that is, we are at pre-collections for bills that haven't been paid. I'm like, what the heck, Bubba? Come on. He looks at me and he's like, what the heck, Jordan? So we realized really quickly that it's expectations and
Unsaid, unexpressed expectations.
so as newlyweds, sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna cover food, meal planning, stuff around the house, birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, I like paying bills or whatever. No one likes paying bills. Let's be honest here. But you just decide, and then the other person's like, okay, well, I'll handle car repairs. I'll handle this and this, and you just make this list, and then it's harmonious from the start.
I love that. I love it because it makes it work. It makes it work instead of trying to be like, well, I've been doing this all day. You haven't helped me. It's like we all know our jobs and we do our job, and that's different in a home because I handle the finance. Like Yehoshua is like, I don't even know what's in a bank account. You'll call me, he's like, can I buy this thing? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
He doesn't do the finance, you know what I mean? So I have even taxes and I'm doing taxes. And he's like, oh, the taxes are done? I'm like, yep.
It's the magical tax fairy. It's kind of like the dish fairy in our house. They're just done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was a great question. So we're not newlyweds, and I find myself, so I do most of the finances too. I mean, everything's on auto pay, right? But I kind of watch, but I don't budget at all. So as not a newlywed, mother of 4, married 13 years, where do I start?
Oh, okay.
What
this
would be
is
the first
easiest
thing you would
thing.
tell me?
Yeah. The very first thing I recommend doing is, okay, first of all, I don't understand money. I am kind of resentful of it personally. I don't have a good relationship with budgeting or money. I think it's always kind of working against me, right? So I had to think of it as something different, which I also don't love, but it was more relatable in my head, which is a diet. Whether you need to diet or have watched Biggest Loser or have gone on a diet, everyone understands that, right? So I had to start thinking of money like a fitness plan. For me, just change the narrative. So for me, it's okay, well, let's say I set this fitness goal. Or let's say I go to the gym and I'm like, I get a trainer, I'm like, okay, fix me. What's the first thing? They would say, well, what do you want? What results do you want? Right. So I would say, start there. Like, why don't budget just to budget? That's
Yeah.
annoying
Yeah.
and boring.
Yeah.
But what are you like? I really would just love a new house, or I really want to go to Paris, or I feel like I want to set us up for retirement, or set a goal first.
I want to go
Otherwise,
to Target and buy whatever I want.
yeah, wouldn't that be
Yeah.
nice? Like
Yeah.
supermarket sweep style, where you're just like
Oh my
throwing stuff
gosh,
in the
yeah,
carts.
that's
Wouldn't
my
that be
show.
amazing? I was born for that show. It needs to come back. So set a goal. Like literally, it's kind of like if there's someone who's a health guru, an organic, non-toxin person, and you meet them and you're like, oh, I should be better. They probably look at you and be like, well, why? Because it's just like super hard. So if you're not really motivated, then don't kill yourself over it, right? So find your motivation. Number 2, I would say step on the scale. Like, where are you? So you have this goal. Do you know where you're at? And that's the hardest part. And this is the part people avoid is just like the numbers. So you literally just take 3 months of your bank statements.
Okay.
There are websites like Mint.com that they pull every
Everything.
account from everywhere, and they make this beautiful little dashboard for you.
Ooh, Mint.
Yeah,
I use that.
There's a million of them now. Like I don't even know if Mint's the hottest one. We don't use it personally.
It like
but
categorizes it on its own. So
Yeah.
then like how much do you spend on
Yeah.
fast food and
Food and-
entertainment?
Really?
Yeah.
It breaks it down for you.
you have to
I
train
love
it a little
too.
bit.
Yeah.
Nothing's fully auto,
right,
but
right.
Yeah.
but also like Mountain America Credit Union that's local, they have a really good dashboard for their. So it's worth it to open a bank account just to get their dashboard.
Yeah.
So
Really?
anyway, so where are you? And just crunch these numbers and be like, okay, well, our take-home income, and this is important. Because you have your paycheck, right? Like your taxes say you make this much, but really, after withholdings and taxes and all this stuff, like how much do you deposit
Yep.
in? That's what you should budget off of, not your paycheck, what you deposit. So off of that, this is all you need to know for the rest of your life. You ready for this?
Ready.
Okay, what you deposit, 70% of that you can spend on anything you want. As long as you're 70% or less, I don't care, girl. Buy $400 Gucci shoes. Actually, can you buy Gucci shoes for $400? $4,000 shoes. I don't know. Mine are like from Amazon, so clearly I'm not the audience. But it's like, I don't care if you go to Nordstrom or if you go to Costco. I don't care if you go to Paris or if you go to St. George. Like, spend it however you want. I'm not going to tell you. That's why I didn't like couponing. I'm like, they're telling me what to buy, and they're like, I don't like that. But like 70% or less, the goal would be, it'd be cool if you could be less, 20% of your take home income every month, savings, just automatically, or debt, if you have debt, like credit card debt, pressing debt.
Yeah.
Your house, that's up to you.
Okay.
And then 10%, I tithe it. I recommend for people to put it into investing or your favorite philanthropic
Charity.
endeavor, charity. Like you've got to give back. I believe in karma so much.
Oh yeah.
And or put it toward your children's future or your retirement, something like philanthropic or proactive. Okay.
Right. Doing
So
good.
but 70%, just do the math. And if you're within 70%, then you're doing great.
I love
If
that.
not, maybe like make some adjustments,
Yeah.
or make more money, but
Yeah.
keep that 70%. And percentage is important because if you get a pay cut, it's still the same percentage.
Yeah.
You don't have to redo your budget every second. And I've always been self-employed, so is my husband. So we don't have a steady paycheck. It's kind of like whatever comes, comes.
Right.
So it's like, well, I know we have 70% of this, so here's what we have to work with. So that's
love
really
that.
all you have to do. And then you can
Right.
break it down, of course, and say, like you were talking about on the dashboard, like, oh, this much for fast food and this much for, that's where you make your choices.
Right.
That's really straightforward. That's
Yeah.
really basic. I love that.
Yeah. I'd say I'm basically done. I just gave you budget boot camp.
Then-
but-
I love it.
Like, go home.
I have a question. Now, I'm always like really concerned about health, and when I hear you saying things like you started off making $30,000 a year, and you guys were doing all right, immediately my thoughts are, okay, what did you buy at the grocery store other than hamburger helper?
Ramen, yeah.
So I mean, maybe
Yeah.
that's what it was. But if you have any advice for our, our viewers on like people who maybe have a tighter budget but want to eat healthy, like are there any
Yes. Oh
suggestions
my
on like
gosh.
how do you grocery
So
shop
much.
with a small budget and still be healthy?
Okay, so there's a whole third part of what I do. So I do budget boot camp, and that's all budgeting and budget planners and my budget course and budget advice. And then I have productivity boot camp, which is the same, like the productivity planners, productivity course, productivity advice. The third pillar of what I do is called shelf cooking for this exact reason. That 70%, I think most people don't realize that their mortgage and their food, that's where all of that
Yes.
goes, all of it.
Yes.
In some way or another, whether it's eating out, whether it's Blue Apron, whether it's organic, clean eating, it's like, they're like, holy, I won't swear. Holy crap. our money's gone. I make good money. What the heck? We're so frugal. Like, we haven't vacationed for forever. Where's all my money? Literally in the toilet is what I say. So it's all about food choices, right? So shelf cooking is a huge, we have a meal plan subscription and a whole blog and all this stuff about it because I'm so passionate about it. That I believe food is important. And I believe that a lot of it comes down to what you buy, but more so what you do with it. I think a lot, whether you buy organic or non-organic, if it rots in your fridge, it doesn't do you good either way.
Right.
Whether you buy something at Whole Foods or whether you buy it at Walmart, like if it goes to waste, it really doesn't matter, right? So I believe that we've lost the art of cooking. Pinterest has killed the home chef. I hate cooking too. I don't really like a lot of things, but here I am, you guys. It's fine. I do like Costco. Like, can we talk about Costco?
Their Alfredo is amazing.
It's so good. Like their meatballs. I mean, we can talk about this later. But I also don't really like cooking, but I have a family of 10. And I refuse to look back on my life and be like, we never had money for anything, but for someone to look at my finances and be like, oh girl, it's because you wasted it on food that rotted in your fridge for your whole life. So
You just posted about this on Instagram, I think it was, or you did a YouTube video about how if you go out and get every ingredient for every meal, you might as well go eat fast food. Like,
or
you
at a
should be
nice
using-
restaurant.
Yeah.
A restaurant will be cheaper for you.
Oh, so I'm
You
doing it
should be
right. I go to
Yeah.
Walmart
Yeah, girl. Yeah,
every
girl.
other day to make my dinner. I'm like,
Yeah, take out,
one
spread
time
it
a
across
week.
two dinners.
Right? You said go grocery shopping
every
one
other
time a
day.
week.
Yeah.
And then use what you
Yeah.
have. Don't go out and buy like, oh, today I'm making sausage Alfredo, so I need to go get
Go
everything.
buy
I don't
all
feel
the
like
ingredients
I'm
for
creative
it.
enough. Like sometimes I just like stare at my pantry and I'm like,
I got you.
No
I got
ideas.
you. That's literally, so this
Jordan,
is what
I
shelf
need
cooking
you.
is
What is shelf
exactly
cooking?
what Britt said is you're like, okay, first of all, you gotta think ahead. Like Sundays, your new magical day is Sunday. Just take like, you can even turn on a show. I don't even care if you're half paying attention, but like just sit down on Sunday and think through your week. This is for productivity, this is for budgeting, but especially for food.
Okay.
And just look at your
here's
calendar and be
this.
like, okay, well Thursday's soccer night, so like we're clearly doing McDonald's that day because I'm in my car or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, but like think through your meals, and you usually
planning.
only need to cook like 3. Let's be honest. People think they need to cook 7, and then the leftovers go to waste, or they buy the ingredients, and then something comes up and they don't cook them, and then they go bad. Like just plan a couple of meals. It's best if you are willing to eat leftovers. There are ways to make leftovers transform and taste good, but plan your meals. But what I recommend is plan them by opening your fridge first and looking, like literally like, okay, I have 2 sad looking stalks of celery. Well, if they're kind of like soft, cook something where they would need to be soft anyway. Like soup.
Right.
You know? Like you're like, okay, well this is a little sad, but it's not rotten. So I'm gonna find something that needs soft celery.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I have like a weird half-cooked thing of ground beef. That can be used 100 different ways too. So start with your fridge. Make your recipes around what you have. The creativity gets tricky, but guess what? Google is such a good friend.
I was gonna say,
I
type
will
in
literally,
Google.
recipes that use celery, ground
Yeah,
beef,
yeah.
and chili sauce, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is like really cool.
Okay.
And then
I can do this.
you start
You
with
can use
that.
Google.
Yeah.
Go to your freezer. You've got stuff down there you don't even know exists anymore, I promise. And then your pantry. But then last is you go to the store for the last few things you need.
Or your
but
need
then,
gaps,
But then the
right?
rest of your budget is when you go to the store, the rest of your budget should be spent kind of like stocking up, putting things back in
Cans
your
and
freezer
stuff,
that are
yeah.
on sale or replenishing things but like the majority of your meal is now on things that otherwise would go to waste, you know. So it makes a difference. Siri, stop. I'm busy right now. Talking with my friends.
I love that because for us it's the same because like Yahosh and I, when we first got married, we were just students I was the only one working while he was a student athlete. So for part of our life, we were in that 30,000 with 2 kids trying to like survive. Like, okay, how do we make it work? And it was that. It's like, okay, what are we having today? Okay, Walmart, here we come. You know, it's like that day. It's like, what do we have? You know, and sometimes it's like, I think that have trained me to be like, even now, like we're like, okay, we're going shopping. Well, let's get dinner for 3 days, and then we go from there. And I have noticed like that help goes along there because when I do like, let's go all this shopping, I'm like, oh, the tomato went bad. We didn't make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's
And
just
one
like,
tomato, like you can do so much with
exactly.
one tomato.
So it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, if I know I'm not gonna cook because we are busy, and I'm not gonna be home, that day's for, you know what, we are having McDonald's. You know what I
Totally,
mean?
yeah.
So
And
I
it's
think
fine.
that's awesome.
Like, why live if you can't eat out once in a while? I mean, come
I
on,
agree.
you know?
It's
So
gonna happen.
just work it in and choose. I would rather spend my money on a Friday night or Saturday night when I am spent and I want really like good food. I don't want Burger King.
Yeah.
So for me, it's motivating to be like, okay, literally peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner is more motivating to me than running through a drive-through because I want to save that money and like really cash in my chips, you know?
Right.
So it's all about choices. And there are so many, like, oh my gosh, can I come back and talk about nothing but food?
Yes.
Because there are things like if you're going to cook anyway, because I'm with you. I don't love it, but I'm also just really busy, right? 5 o'clock comes and I'm like, oh my
Yes.
gosh. If you're going to cook once, double it and just stick one in the freezer. And then it's like when you leave for work that morning, just put it frozen in the oven and set your delay bake. And then it's like you come back at 5:30 and it
So smart.
That's
magically
what Alfredo.
turns on.
That's what we do with chicken Alfredo.
Yes, I'm
Your
like,
host made chicken
I've never
Alfredo
thought
the other
of
day,
that.
I've
and
never
I'm like,
thought of
make
that.
enough, and then we froze the other
Yeah.
half because our kids love it. That's like one
Yes.
meal like they love it. And like so then the other day we just like, oh, there's leftover from the freezer. Here we go, and it was like that. And I'm like, chicken Alfredo, ice cream, whatever
Yes.
you want to eat, cereal.
Open the freezer. I don't even care. Quesadillas, that's like a default in our house.
Yeah.
So I'm
Find
like, cheese
something.
is valuable, guys. So maybe we need to pad this with a little something else. There is nothing I have found that you can't freeze. I have
Really?
not come
I like
across
that.
anything that
Eggs?
can't be. You can freeze
Yeah.
eggs. You can actually freeze whole eggs.
Do you do that?
I did it on accident. I had them in the back of my fridge, and I had like 6 dozen eggs, and they all froze, and I was like, oh crap. But literally, they just thaw out and they cook
right.
like normal. So I'm like, good to know. You can also cook
you
eggs and
freeze
freeze
milk?
them. Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that's
Well, you
why?
can freeze breast milk.
Well, I know that.
Yeah. If you
not
feed
gonna
it to
drink
your
that.
newborn,
I'm not
Put,
gonna
like,
drink
a
it.
gallon in the freezer.
if you have space for it, why not? So do you know why? That's why there's a divot in the container. Have you ever
that why?
noticed
So it
that?
expands?
So it can expand.
Oh my gosh, I'm learning.
You know,
so
we're
much.
learning like comment
no
what you can
way.
freeze.
Yeah.
Now we need people to comment the things that they can freeze,
Wait, so
right?
you freeze
Right?
milk?
I am a freezer hoarder because I really like my freezer. So I do not have enough room for gallons of milk, but I freeze milk all the time. Like if we're going out of town and there's a little bit, I'll put it in a smaller container and freeze it.
Why
so
have
then
I never thought of
I
this?
just
don't throw it
Chuck
out.
it. Or
right.
I let it rot
Okay.
in my fridge.
Okay.
And
I
then
need a
come
minute.
home and dump it.
Yeah.
So I guess
So
me,
how do you unthaw? Does it get chunky? That's what I'm
No.
worried about.
Okay, so the cream, like depending, we do whole milk, so it'll kind of separate a little bit.
Uh-huh.
It's like breast milk. You just shake it up.
You're
Yeah,
fine.
You're fine. It'll be a little icy, which is nice. Or here's the other thing. If you take something out of the freezer, like frozen vegetables will never be the same as fresh vegetables. Well, where would you need soft vegetables? Or so milk, maybe instead of just drinking a glass of milk,
cook it.
maybe you use it for baking. Maybe
Right,
you
right.
use it for a soup or a casserole. Like you don't have to drink something that you're like, this does not look good, but it is not spoiled. Then just
Right.
you can freeze cottage cheese, you can freeze oh my gosh, you have to freeze cheese. If you guys don't, just shred it first.
I do freeze.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is very helpful for me
do?
because
I freeze. I just put
guess,
the bags
like,
of
the
Costco,
Costco,
shredded cheese.
yeah.
Well,
But you
that's-
might want to break those up into smaller portions,
Oh,
right?
that's
Because
smart.
can you commit to 3 pounds of
That's
cheese?
Yeah,
in a
it's when
day?
you take it
Yeah.
out, then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what am I going to
Right,
use
yeah,
this
that's
for?
true.
that was my
The
issue with
spinach.
moving here to Utah because of the big families or something. I don't know. Like
Everything's
Costco's
huge.
cheese is bigger than California Costco cheese. So like if I went to
Really?
yeah, so you could get like a
We
3
really
pound
like our
block
cheese
of
in
cheese
Utah. Yeah.
in California at Costco, and my family could 3 pounds. That's a month, right? We like cheese. But 5 pounds, that's a belly ache. And
Yeah.
they don't make it any smaller. So I love and I've been afraid of freezing
Cut
it.
it. Cut it
Okay.
into 4 portions, and you can shred it or not. You can freeze block cheese. It just becomes a little bit more crumbly.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't slice it on a charcuterie board.
Right.
You could totally use it in
Yeah.
Anything.
whatever
Shred it
you would use
later.
shredded cheese. Yeah. You guys, I'm telling you. But this is what I'm saying is you have your 70%. Where are you spending that? If it's in whole, clean, organic foods, good on you. Why
Right.
not? Just don't waste it.
Yeah.
Just Whole Foods, is their can of black beans any more valuable than a can of black beans from somewhere else where it's half the price? I don't know. Make your choices, Maybe you really pick and choose. I really I chuckle at organic crackers where I'm like, crackers are crap either way. Why are we? I would rather. But you just have to make that decision. I would rather buy organic fruits and vegetables,
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I'm like, crackers are just kind of our throwaway food either way. So for me, that budget, it's all about choice, right? Or you do all organic clean because obviously you have It's all about health in your home and being whole. So that's fine. But just, be a good steward over your food. We waste, as Americans, you guys, we are the most wasteful culture on the planet. And like even if you do pretty good, but you throw away a third of something, you can stretch that third of something for days if you really try.
Yeah.
So
I
it makes a
waste
difference.
Everything. Like everything
It's
in
okay.
my fridge.
Confession
It's okay.
I'm literally
Robin.
like hundreds of dollars every month.
But I'm
I
like the
know,
opposite.
and it's okay. We all do.
I'm so
No,
the
it's not.
opposite.
You can do
I gotta
better.
do this.
It's okay though, because I'm like the opposite.
putting you on a
I think because
program.
of how I was
No, I need to be on a
raised, you know,
Yeah.
coming from Haiti,
you use
I'm
all
very
very
like even with
resourceful.
my kids,
Yes.
it's like resourceful. It's just like, okay, you hungry, but let's start small. And then if you're hungry, because like I just hate wasting. So I'm
Like
the
scraping
opposite.
off a plate into
Yeah,
the garbage
like
at
that's
the end
like
of a
that
meal.
like that breaks my like I just
Yes.
don't like. So my kids, you start small. It's like, okay, what do you want? You get a little bit of this. Like if you're hungry, you can always get back for more.
Yes.
Because I hate giving them more, and then I'm like, because my
Yes.
heart just like sometimes I'll just eat it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have such a beautiful benefit and perspective coming from a different country that us Americans, like, we are ruining ourselves. Literally, this like Blue Apron society and this Pinterest society where you like print off these pretty meals and you go buy the ingredients and half the time you make them and half the time you don't, but then you only use this much of this much chili sauce
Yeah.
or whatever it is, and then it just rots in your fridge and you throw it away because it's like, oh, so cluttered and I want to unclutter my life. And it's like, dude, it's this really vicious cycle. You might as well eat out every meal, which isn't healthy and will cost you more. But,
Right.
Yeah, it
but it's
costs a
also
lot.
bigger than that, right? It's about like in your culture, I imagine food is a big part of it, and like eating together as a family. And we are losing that as Americans. No one eats together anymore, and it's about like just eat so we can hurry and get to our next activity. But it's like my 5-year-old fully knows how to make her own breakfast start to finish. Like pull out the pan, spray the stuff, crack the eggs. I'm raising adults here. You know, it's not about
Yep.
me and my convenience. It's about like setting them up for healthy habits and
responsible.
being responsible with money because
Compliant.
they may have to live. If my daughter wants to have a career where she only makes $30,000 for the rest of her life, I'm
needs
so
to know.
happy for her. Great, as long as it's how you want to live. But you can't expect to only be happy if you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know?
It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you don't know how to spend it well, you will go broke.
It's been
know,
harder
right?
for us. Now we make more stable money than we ever have. Finances are harder now
Yep.
because you say no out of principle, not out of need, and it's like way more choices, and
Yep.
it's so hard. So I promise your problems don't get fixed just because you make more money.
So how do you do that then? I know there's a lot of different philosophies out there on how to actually do the spending, but in the world where we're kind of cashless now, I mean, it's not as much cash that we're seeing around. We got Venmo.
My
we've got
dad
our
still has a money
cards,
clip, but I think
right?
he's like the last one.
Right? How do you stick to a budget with a card? Like, you know, that's a lot to keep track of in my
Oh
head,
my gosh.
right?
It's impossible. Not impossible, but it's unrealistic.
Right.
So what do we have in 2022? We don't use a lot of cash. In fact, some places like don't take
Don't
cash
even
anymore.
take
I know,
it.
I'm like-
yeah.
I know. I know. And
carry
it's hard.
cash.
Cash
Due
but
to the coin shortage.
No,
Yeah.
I don't
I mean, have you guys seen all those signs?
cash or coins, but when I see those signs, I get anxious. I'm like, what if my card doesn't work?
I
Then
know.
they're not going to accept this.
Then they-
I lose my cards
They're gonna
all
like
the
scan
time.
your
Me too.
pupils
Me
someday
too.
and be like,
All
it's
the
fine, I
time.
can see your soul. I know
Yeah.
you're good for it.
Yeah.
I know, it's weird.
just do my
So
phone.
this is what I recommend. And it's like so basic, but it's really helpful. Okay, picture a filing cabinet that has 2 drawers, okay? And you have these drawers and all your important things go in there. But let's say you just open a drawer and like dump all your papers in and you close it and lock it or not, like it's safe. You know they're there. When you need them, you need to get to them. But the reason we have file folders is because it's important to know where something is quickly. And our brains don't work well just seeing a lump of stuff. So why do you think your bank account having like a checking account and a savings account would be any easier, right?
Right.
So I think every person needs to go home right now and open 7 bank accounts minimum. I have over
What?
20. If you have less than 7, budgeting will always be harder for you than it needs to be. So
Speak to me.
I know.
I am
I
like,
Wait,
okay,
I got
I'm
3.
right
I
here.
got 3.
Think
I'm
of
almost
it.
finished.
Guys, how many do you have?
I got 4 because you have a business one. 4.
Okay, I have a personal checking and savings, then I have my 3 business ones.
That's
Okay.
great.
Okay.
Great. You're on a good
All
roll.
right, I got a
Yes.
business, like main, and then the business, like kind of like we put
Like a
profit kind of in there,
uh-huh.
and then we've got our personal and our savings. So I only have 4, and then
Okay.
my kids have their own little
5.
ones. But
Yeah, those count.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
Right?
I have 4 or 5.
Yeah, I got 4.
So
Okay.
your
Okay,
goal,
so another 5.
everyone, your homework this week is you need another 3. Okay?
Okay.
You want 7.
kind?
Okay. Anything. It could be travel account. It could be home repair account. It could be eating out. It could be, so these are the ones I recommend.
Okay.
So for savings, which let's say that's your top drawer, right? If you dump all your money into it, then like when your house calls you and he's like, do we have money for this? You can be like, I mean, we have money. I don't remember what bills are coming out where and when, but like, sure, we can buy a trampoline technically. Like, why not? Yeah. So make a trampoline account. I don't care. So what I recommend is have an emergency savings, kind of like you mentioned, a profit for your business, but emergency is you want like 6 months to live off of if you lose your job, if you're in a coma, if you're about to lose your house, like never touch it.
Never touch it.
Okay,
Got it.
that's
Okay,
just
if
to
you're
have.
talking about that kind of thing, I have plenty of those. Like we have a Christmas account.
Yes,
we have,
yes.
but it's
Those
not like
count.
separate bank accounts. It's all just like separate. I guess it's separate accounts within our bank.
Yes,
Is that what
absolutely.
you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
So you don't need separate banks. You just need like different accounts,
Right.
Things go
file
to.
folders. So emergency savings and then just a normal savings that everyone has, where it's like you just,
I'm okay.
that's where you should have 3 months of a cushion to live off of. But that's where it's like, okay, we really need to save up to get new tires on the car,
Right.
or I want a new bedroom set, or like things that you do tap into, okay? So that's savings. Also, I think you should have a health savings account. So for medical bills, because
Yeah.
it's so freaking annoying when your kid breaks their arm and then you're like, I guess we're not going to Disneyland. Like, think of Up. He never went to Paradise Falls because things kept happening, you know?
That was such a sad
So
movie.
sad. And then his
That's
wife
gonna
said,
happen.
and you're like, you didn't even get a chance. So don't do that. So like have a health savings account, which PS, there are actual literal HSAs that are tax free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any money in there you don't get taxed on.
We
Just
have
talk
those,
to
yeah.
your bank account, credit union, health insurance,
Yep.
or employer.
I
Okay.
don't have one of those.
Okay, so we
need
have
those. They're
savings
really
account
awesome.
Savings,
for
savings.
emergency.
Yeah, health.
We have health savings account.
Yeah,
the bank.
Okay.
accounts
You
for
can
your
do one
kids.
that's
So that's
tax-free.
however
Not
many.
everything
Right, right.
Okay,
tax-free.
accounts for your kids.
It's tax free, yeah.
You need a fun savings account
Ooh,
for
a
fun
fun.
only.
Okay.
Ooh, I
Literally,
need that one.
like, but that's kind of your Paradise Falls jar, like a little bit here, a little bit there. If you are doing good on that 70%, sure, maybe draft 2% of
rest.
your paycheck every month into it. Auto, you can set everything on auto. So like every month we just have a little bit going into our HSA, a little bit going into here, a little bit. It just happens. We don't even touch it.
Yeah.
So you need one for fun, vacation, traveling, whatever. But if you do have credit card debt, that needs to be on hold for a minute. Get those
Yeah.
credit cards out of the way.
Yeah.
And then for checking, you should have one for you and one for your husband. Because remember that whole divide and conquer we did at the beginning?
So you
where
just have separate accounts for you and your husband?
for our responsibilities that we are in charge of week to week.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah. So like, and
guys?
we even have
No,
two
we each
separate
have
credit
one.
cards.
We have 2 checkings, but
Yeah.
we
But,
both
like,
are on it, but it's not like
Exactly. They're
separate.
not hidden.
Yeah.
Like we make
Right,
the
right,
same
right.
decisions.
Yeah.
But I use a Costco credit card because I do a lot of groceries, gas, whatever. My husband actually has the Amazon card because it had really good benefits for the things that he buys a lot of Amazon for business and different things. So like he pays his bill from his checking account, mine
Got
from
it.
mine, and every month it just drafts in however much we think we need to cover our responsibilities.
Right, so
and
it's
if
not
there's
about you
extra,
make more,
I'm
I
gonna
make
go buy a
more.
shirt from Target, dang
I
it,
like
because I did
that.
good that week.
Right.
I like
like
that
that.
too, because literally yesterday, Ben's texting me screenshots of our bank account, Target.
Yeah.
He's like, what is this? What is this? What is this? And I'm like, I think that's that. I think
And how
But if I had
small
my
do you
own,
feel,
yeah.
right? And
don't ask
resentful, and like, sorry,
You're like,
Dad.
I'm a grown woman and I wanted to buy a purse.
That's your bedspread.
That
Thank
would
you very
be
much.
like-
That's your
No,
bed. Yeah.
the reason, because right now you just bought a house though, and
Yeah,
you're having
that's
a
what we
baby, so
have.
you are going.
Yeah.
So
you're
you
going
need
crazy.
a house account where you both agree on an
Yeah.
amount every month, and then he needs to get off your back, right? Like, and that's where autonomy
Right, and that's where the
is
discussion
so
comes
And I
important.
think it would
Yeah.
free him up too.
Yes.
So he's not looking through the bank account and being like, holy cow, did somebody steal our card at Target?
Yeah, yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
he doesn't even have to have that on his brain. Like he has
Right.
so much else.
Right.
Just take
Yes.
Target
And
off.
I find that we all like justify our own spending, but
Yes.
we definitely judge our spouse's
Yes,
spending. Right?
that is so true.
Yeah, that's why this bank account thing really is magical, because you agree to get you're at a conference table. You agree as a company,
gonna-
but then the CFO is not going to go to the tech guy and be like, why are you pushing that button? Well, why did you do that? That's not his job.
Right.
Like, focus on you.
Yeah.
But you decide together. And then, of course, if you can tell that you're not reaching those goals, that's when you stop and report on your own. Like in our company meetings every week at my company, everyone only ever reports on themselves. and
makes sense,
and set. Why wouldn't you do that in a family? Because when you point
Right.
fingers, it gets really
That's what I tell my kids
tough.
all the time. I'm like, focus on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop focusing on your sister. Who cares? Like,
And in marriage, we need
Yeah,
to too,
it's the
you know.
same principle.
And then you just keep going with your bank accounts. Like your kids should have their own savings and checking, but like 7 adds up really fast. Like it's not as crazy as you think. And with technology now, it's not. You're not riding your horse and buggy to the bank and like filling out a withdrawal slip anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
As a matter of fact, we just got a new bookkeeper, and he's giving us the same rules for our business. He's like, okay, you need to have different accounts for different things, and he recommended this company called Relay. He said that it's an all online bank, so it's not like traditional going in. You know, he said that he recommended it because it's really easy to just create accounts on
In
the
like a
spot. Like you could go
second.
in there and
Yeah.
a new account is created. You have to do a lot at first to kind of get yourself
Of
set
course.
up. But once there, you can start making accounts for all sorts of things really easily. So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
still going through that process of getting it all set up. But now, do we have like cards for each one of those so that when you go to Costco, you're pulling from this account? When you're going to how does
Sometimes,
that
but
work?
honestly, the cards in my wallet are like, I use a Costco card for pretty much all my spending. So I know what that bill is usually what I have spent on my responsibilities that month for the most part. But Bubba also has one of my cards in his wallet. And then he has his card that he spends most of his family expenses on, and I have a copy of that too. And then I have a business card. And so sure, technically with every bank account, you probably get a debit card. But do I like carry those around and do things with them? No, we just have them
This is my
locked in the
travel
safe
So like
card.
if we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna pull from our fund because we're going to Disneyland, would you just transfer that into your
Yeah.
normal account?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes,
Okay.
with a click like on
Yeah.
the app,
Yeah.
you know.
Transfer it, then use your
Or
normal
just,
card.
yeah.
So what we
instead
do
of
for
using-
Christmas, like
Yeah.
we have every month we have so much that comes out for our Christmas fund, so that by the time December comes
Yes.
around, we're not like, oh crap, what are we going to do for Christmas?
Right.
We just transfer that money into the checking account
And it's a
then
slow
go
drip.
on a trip or something.
Right.
Yes.
A little bit all year long.
Yes. So what you would do is like we just put everything on our credit cards. We weren't able to because at the beginning it was too hard. A credit card is unlimited. Like it's not going to tell me when I'm overspending. So I literally had to take our cards, both of ours, freeze them in a cup of water in the freezer. Like I literally had to do that. And then we just did cash for a minute, and then I kept losing cash, and I was like, okay, this is not. And you can also like, there's no trail. Right? So it just didn't
Right.
exist.
Yeah.
But so then we went to debit for a while and we set limits where it would actually not
Send
the
you a
purchase would not go
notification.
through.
Right,
right.
And then we eventually worked up. So everything we do like Christmas, we put that on a card because we travel on our credit card points.
Yeah.
So you're
So-
making money with your spending. Why not?
Oh,
Right.
I get a
that
couple
as well.
$1,000s every year
Yeah.
off of, we put all of our cars, all of our bills on a credit card. And then when we do our family trip every year, we pull that $4,000 or whatever that we've got in cash and we travel with it.
Yeah.
So we just got a free trip basically.
Yep.
But then we pull the money to pay that credit card from
the
account.
accounts. That
Yeah,
makes
we
sense.
just went to Great Wolf Lodge
Yeah.
this Christmas.
So fun.
With your
With the
credit card
credit card
money?
points.
I
Nice.
love it.
So mine that I have, my credit card, it gives points back that you can cash in for different
Sure.
things. So my thing I like to do is I cash it in for gift cards, and I do them to all the stores that we like to buy clothes at. So I really don't have to budget for clothes.
That's great.
It comes out of my
That's
points
good.
for my
And
credit
your
card.
70% just went whoop,
Yeah.
right? Because now there are always ways. It's like with travel, how you use credit card points. Now you don't have to factor that into the 70%. Every frugal move you make helps you add more to your life. Frugal. A lot of people think that frugal is like, oh, I just have to say no, I have to go without. It is the opposite. That is a frugal move. What you guys just said, it's maximizing what you have. If somebody gives you $1, how do I stretch that to make it 5? And then I get 5 times more life out of it. It's not like, ew, this stupid dollar is like limiting me. It can, if you think of it that way, you know?
I know, that's
So
that's
it's a
how
mindset.
like when I go to H&M, I come with like big bag of clothes, and I was like, how much money you spend? I'm like, you should have heard what the lady said. I got like, cause I'm like a frugal person.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm the most frugal person you will meet, but I like to
don't
dress
know.
nice.
No,
I don't know, maybe,
yeah, yeah.
maybe. But like I'm at H&M, I'm buying like the $2 shirts, like you know what I mean, the
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people never buy. And then I got up there, the guy's bringing me out. He's like, keep bringing me out, and he's like, only $95. He's like, you got all this clothes for $95? Like, I've never seen such thing.
Yeah.
I
And I
love
got
that.
home and your host was like, he's like, why you buy so this? I'm like, look at this receipt. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at
And you can look at him and say, guess what? Like, this fits with, I've got the money in my
I know.
account.
He's like,
Yeah.
so I'm like,
Yeah.
that's me. I'm like, all frugal. But I have a question. So,
You want me to look good?
exactly.
Yeah.
I
She
look
got the
good.
Brave Talk Show.
I know.
Like, how do you start with your kids? Like, you know, because I think also as we are talking about, like, I'm really big on generational wealth, like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean like I want my kids to be healthy. I think people, here's wealth, you think like, oh, you want them to be rich. But like, how do you start with them when they're so little? Because with mine, I'm like, if they want something, they earn money. Like, you know,
Yes.
like they do chores, they get their money, and then if they want to buy something outside of what I want them to, they want to buy, I'm like, okay, so this is your money. You're going to buy this. You, like right now, they really want to go to Disneyland. I'm like, mommy and daddy will provide that. But if you guys want to like do extra stuff at Disneyland, you want to start saving your money now.
ears.
Yeah.
You wanna
and
buy
stuff
the
like
ears
that.
or the
Exactly.
leather.
Yeah.
So like, how do you
For the
teach
stupid
them?
$20 fan that
Exactly.
breaks the second time.
I
you
went
use
and I'm
it.
like, it's expensive there. So if you guys want to buy like the shit, because you're gonna see a lot of stuff and you're gonna want to buy them,
Fake
so you need
TVs.
to start saving your money to buy those things. So
You nailed it. It's all about, we don't believe in saying we can't. We believe in saying how can we?
Yes.
And teaching your
that.
kids that.
love
So
that.
you look at them and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to, like our son, he was 4. He wanted a dirt bike so bad, 4. And honestly, for a while, we were like, no, we are like trying to figure out Costco right now. Like that is not, no. But then finally we stopped saying no and we're like, sure, why not? How are you gonna earn it, you know? And we made this little plan with him, and of course the money like comes from mom and dad when you're so small, so we had to
Yeah.
make this plan too. But it took him a year and a half, and he earned, it was like $5 a week is kind of how we budgeted it or whatever for him doing these certain things, and he was diligent, and it took a year and a half, and we had this huge chart where every square represented $1, and he got to the point where he had to earn up, it was like this little used electric one, so it wasn't like a real dirt bike, so we had him pay half. And we made up the difference because he was little, and so by the time he was 5, almost 6, he earned this dirt
Wow.
bike, and honestly, like it. So now that he's 12, he turned 12 a week ago, he is cut off. So like he had a birthday party the other night, and I was like, do you want to go? Do you have money for a birthday present? Because I believe that it is easy to teach a kid to save. You don't learn how to spend until you're an adult, and a lot of times like those lessons are really rough. So we try to provide opportunities where obviously like we give him an allowance, but also he's going to need to work this summer to save some money. He was neglectful. He was sneaking candy in his bed. I'm sorry, I'm ratting you out, Hutch. We caught him sneaking candy in his bed. He was like 11. It's not like he was little. And I explained to him, I'm like, dude, I don't care about the candy, right? Like,
I care about you.
but the point is, when you eat candy at night, this is what's going to happen. And I said, so my answer is no. If you want candy, you need to ask. We have rules. He continued to do it, I guess, and he had 4 cavities. He has to pay for all of them because none of our other kids had any cavities because they followed the rules, and that's a natural consequence. It's like $700.
Oh yeah.
So we are working out. We got dental
Boy's gonna remember
insurance,
to
and
brush his teeth
we're
now.
I know, like
Exactly.
literally, I saw him like flossing the other day, and I'm like, we've made it.
Yes.
But and little things too, like if he wants to go to movies with his friends, then just like you said, when we do things as a family, we cover that. We
Yeah.
budget that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Betsy, you're 3, you can't come. You
Yeah.
don't have any money.
So it's more of a how. It's a how,
Yeah.
and also it's important to find opportunities for them to feel the pain of what things cost now. Money is pretend to them. It's like not
Yeah.
even
And I
real.
think
Yeah.
the thing is like with my kids. So I feel like right now because our kids, like I said, I grew up poor and I'm fine, right?
That's why
And as-
you're like so amazing. You have
so I'm
such an
like trying to
advantage.
teach my kids because we went from like renting to like sharing room, and now we got like a nice house. And I see even like within the first few weeks you're there, my daughter's like, oh my gosh, we are so rich, and I'm like, hold up, hold up. And but like it makes her appreciate it because she wanted something. She's like, you have all the money, and I'm like, you can buy this, and I think you make them appreciate it because she
Yes.
didn't want to spend her money when I told her it was because she had money from birthdays she'd been saving,
Yeah.
and I said, oh, you want this, you got to buy it because you have money
Learn
too.
how to
And then
prioritize.
she's like, oh, I don't want it. I don't want
Suddenly
that.
it's not as
It's
important.
not important. And so in Malachi, kind of the same thing. He's very frugal, but he always want us to buy for him. So teaching him to be like, he broke something, and I was like, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I told you to not touch it, and you kept touching it. You have to pay for it. And he had a ton of money because he's a saver, and he had to use it. And now it's like, oh.
It's like painful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like,
But
there's-
also, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, there's opportunities to pull into the savings, but I think those are also opportunities where we can teach an entrepreneurial mindset to our kids
Yeah.
of like, what could you do to make some money? Like, you know, could
Yeah.
you go and pull weeds around the neighborhood or rake leaves or whatever season you're in, you know, that you could do to bring in
It's
some
a
extra
great way
money,
to build
right?
self-esteem.
yeah.
We're
Like,
raising
you
adults.
set a goal,
Yeah.
you achieved
Yeah.
it, you did something hard.
Yeah.
And then let's roll that over to the next time something hard comes up. Remember that time that you saved up for that dirt bike? That was hard and you were dedicated and that was, you know what I mean? Like you're just building on learning
I need
experiences.
help on allowance. Like, now I'm like,
It's so
I'm
hard.
ruining my kid.
It's so
You're
hard.
just shelling out the money for no reason?
No, I don't pay him anything.
Oh.
No,
we
no,
do
that's okay.
responsibility, so I'm like, you live here, you
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah, you
But
give
like,
a little
there's
job.
this
So they
bonus
have
work.
like responsibilities, and then they have like a little chart where they can make money, but they don't want to make it.
So
Because
That
mom
means
buys
that
things.
that
'Cause
means
you
that
buy
you're
a
probably
for them.
buying-
But I don't really do it. I might.
So, like, for example,
right,
for
fine,
example,
Robin,
my
you're
kids
fine. It's okay,
love
though.
shoes. They love shoes. They're addicted to shoes. They always want shoes. But I'm looking at the shoes, and I mean, obviously, if they need shoes, like there's holes in them and things like that, I'm gonna get it. But
Right.
if
It's
they
our
don't really
responsibility
need-
to provide for
Right.
our kids.
But if they don't
We'll
really
get
need the
defensive.
shoes, and it's like their shoes fit them fine, he just
the
wants
extra,
other shoes.
yeah.
Those are the situations where I'm like, okay, well, you know, some extra job. Those are the extra jobs.
Those
that you can
$150
go and earn 'em.
Nikes, yeah. how are you gonna do
Exactly.
that?
That's what
that
you
you
need to
want.
have to. Like with my little one, like Nehemiah, he is styling. He's 5, but the kid, like I had like a gold chain that I don't wear. He wear like good gold chain now.
That's
like,
my
he wants
It's in them.
he
Yes.
wants like he dressed up like, and then he wanted something like it was like, and I was like, Nehemiah, like I'll pay for half of it, kind of like the thing. And I'm like, but you have to buy because you already have a gold chain. You don't need another one. But he really wanted
Wants
another
it.
one. So I think
that's
it's just
important,
teaching.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you want, and that's the thing. I love, like you say, it's not like a no, because I used to be the no. So I think what I've learned is like it's not no. It's like how can we make it happen?
Yeah.
Yes.
What
And
was your
so-
catchphrase? It's not. Can't,
It's not, we can't, it's how can we?
How
I can
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
just change that mindset where it's like back to school shopping. My kids get a budget based on their age, and I give them an envelope with the money or whatever, and I write on the envelope like, okay, you know, you need probably 2 pairs of pants, this many shirts, this, and depending on their age, of course, I help them more or not, but we'll go to a place like a big box store, like Target that has a lot of things, or a Walmart or whatever, and they make the decision. So my son, he's from the moment he was little, his favorite movie ever was Never Say Never by Justin Bieber. You know, the Justin Bieber story.
Oh, yeah, he
he
loves
just
that
like
too.
really,
Yep,
he's
that's
really
mine.
cared about his appearance.
That's
And
my
you know what?
Nehemiah.
One of my other kids doesn't care at all. And I'm like, I'm not going to say which one's right or wrong. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just choice, right? So for him, he'd rather spend more money on a name brand or something that he really values more. And I'm like, I don't care. It's just here's your budget. And then if you want more, it's all you teach them choices.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I'm not going to control their choices for the most part. It's also our job to guide them, of
Balance
course.
it, yeah.
But I remember my mom did this. She gave me a budget, took me to the mall. It was like an hour and a half away because I grew up in the middle of nowhere. And I came back with the most ridiculous stuff, you guys. Like, so impractical. I came back with like a sparkly purse and all this stuff. And I learned real quick that I was suffering when winter came and I didn't have, you know, and I don't care, come back with like an Xbox game. I don't care. You're not going to have clothes. I'm not going to buy them for you. So choice. It's a good lesson to learn. I know.
we could talk forever.
I know we need her back.
So here's that slogan, or I don't know, slogan, that
Catchphrase.
catchphrase.
Put it on
that
a
you
shirt.
said.
We could do that.
That, I think that's my favorite thing, because I think that goes with productivity, it goes with budgeting, that just goes for life. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to tell yourself no, you don't have to sacrifice and just be miserable. Just figure out how to do it. And there's a million different ways to figure out how it works for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. If you guys like that it's not about I can't, it's about how can we, hit that like button and let us know that you agree with us.
I
that
also
this
want
is
to know if
awesome.
anybody else freezes milk.
I also want to know.
I do. When I'm going out of
Everything
town,
about
if it's
allowance.
half a gallon, it's like the weekend. I put it in the fridge.
How
If I
have
have
I
like,
never
I
thought
just
about
put it.
And
that?
then
in
you
the
come
fridge.
back and you're like, we got milk. You just let it thaw in the fridge
Think about
overnight.
it. If you
in the morning,
go in the
you
back
put
of the
it
freezer,
right?
sometimes it freeze already.
I'm
When it's in the
telling
fridge,
you.
sometimes it freeze.
I need
So
all your
just-
courses. I'm
I
going
know.
You
home
got
and buying
this.
all of your
No,
courses.
you're not. We'll
Yes.
just hang out and I'll just like tell
Like
you
the,
things.
I'm like, I literally, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I've learned more in 30 minutes than my whole
It's like a
life.
grown-up class, and I think it's really funny because she mentioned like in school. She learned all about Greek mythology,
Oh my-
but like,
like
what does that
3
do
years
for you
worth.
in
It was so
life,
stupid.
right? And like
Exactly,
in
yeah.
school, like they're not learning life skills.
I know,
It's
I
so
have plans.
focused on college prep. It's
I
not
have
like survival
lots
skills.
to say about
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
I have plans someday.
So
And if
love that.
anyone does want my courses, I can provide a discount code or whatever.
Right, we'll
because,
put
you
that
know,
in the
Please,
description
people-
box so that our audience can be able to click
Go
on it
find
and
you.
go check it
And
out.
also, can you give us like your handle where people can find you? Like,
Sure.
give it all.
I like to hang out on Instagram, so just Jordan Page on Instagram. Though I do have like 5 different accounts. If you want shelf cooking, we have shelf cooking, productivity bootcamp, budget bootcamp, fun, cheaper, free. But anyway, thepagecompany.com is kind of like our home-based website where you can find everything. My planners,
I just went
my
on the other day
courses.
and you have videos for everything and blog articles. You've got it all. It's great.
Yeah,
exciting.
thepagecompany.com.
All right.
Thanks.
P-A-G-E.
P-A-G-E, like page in a book. Yes.
All right.
Jordan, thank you for coming
Yeah.
on.
Oh my
Do I have
gosh.
to leave? You guys,
I
my
know, no,
kids
just
need
stay.
lunch. And like, it's just a lot. It's fine. Thanks for having me. So
Oh,
fun.
we're
Thank you
so
so much for
glad that
coming.
you
I
could.
learned so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
We have one question from a community member that we want to answer today. You guys have submitted this on Instagram, and we're going to talk about it today. I'll share the question, and then one of us will either answer, or if all of us have opinions, which is probably pretty likely, we'll all answer it. So, okay, here we go. Here's the question. I have it on my phone because it came through Instagram. Thank you for submitting your questions, by the way. Okay, here's the fan question. What causes late periods but negative tests? I'm currently 6 days late, but all the pregnancy tests I take turn up negative. I haven't been stressed or had any dramatic changes in my life. I just don't understand what's going on.
Ooh, the
Okay,
stress.
my-
I was gonna say stress, but then
Yeah.
the stress thing changed.
I
But
know,
go
that
ahead.
changed everything. Okay, so then if it's not stress, my next question would be, how old are you? Because I know for me, I'm in my early 40s, and a missed period, it's like pregnant or perimenopause. Like, which one is it? So if you are in your late 30s or early 40s, it could be just hormonal changes that are happening because you're getting older. If you're not, and it's not stress, I'm looking forward to seeing what
But
Brian
also-
and Vanessa have to say.
Physical activity, like if you like did a
Yeah.
huge big hike or something that's like more physical than normal. I have the most inconsistent periods. Like I think I'm pregnant every day. Even you guys know that. Even though my husband has a vasectomy, or even when there's actual periods of abstinence because I just had major surgery, I'm like, I'm still pregnant. I haven't even had sex, but I'm pregnant. But so like I'll have like 40-day period, like it's 40 days to my period, then 20 days to my period. So I'm not a great person to ask, but I've asked my doctor, and he says like exercise, hormonal imbalance, foods you eat,
Food,
sleep,
I was gonna say.
Oh, if
sleep,
you're not getting enough sleep.
and stress.
And also, I think people think stress is something you have to feel or feel. Sometimes you can be stressful
And
and
not
not
even
even realize you're
Yeah,
stressed. So
that
your
makes
body
sense.
may be going
Live
to
at
like,
such a high level
and
of
also
stress.
exactly, but your body can be going to some stress itself. That's probably why you have it too. So it doesn't necessarily mean like there's a stressor.
Yeah.
And then so your body may be going to some changes that you're not aware of.
And then the 7th one I would say is don't buy Dollar Tree test, because I have been pregnant multiple times and I had a negative test because I bought a cheap test.
And
Really?
the cheap one always
my whole
worked for
life
me.
Has been Dollar Tree pregnant.
It does. Mine are cheap.
So I had an experience where I peed on a stick from like a cheaper one, not pregnant, and then I peed on like the early, like the ones that's like
yeah.
pregnant. So
Maybe
for
they're more
me,
sensitive.
I
Yeah.
think my HCG levels aren't as maybe potent.
Potent.
And so like for me, we always knew like I could not buy cheap tests because it wouldn't show up,
Right.
even
good to
until
know.
like several weeks in.
Let us
Wow.
know in the
Yeah.
comment, guys.
Yeah.
Answer the question. If you know something, let us know.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I would say like, are your periods always off, or are they always on time? And now this time it's 6 days late,
Right.
but you're not pregnant.
so
But
many
I know
things.
nothing. So if you
So
know
many
something,
reasons.
Let us know. And then also, I would even say, like, if you have any questions for a future episode, and you're comfortable leaving it in the public thread, down below in the comments, leave us a question, and we'll be sure to answer it on a future episode. If you want to keep it more discreet, reach out to us on Instagram. You can message us any of those questions, and we'll definitely answer it on a future episode.
great job. All right, that's a wrap. for this episode of the Brave Talk Show. If you're watching us on YouTube, there are more episodes you will love on that window to the right, and we will see you on the other side.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I have some questions for you.